Hi Akshat,
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Congratulations on getting admit in UIUC with a CS major. So happy to know about this news.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Um,
would you like to give some introduction to our audience?
yeah, sure. So, hi, I'm Akshat. I'm an incoming freshman at UIUC majoring in computer science, as sir said. I completed my IB diploma program from Indus International School, Bangalore. And yeah, I'm here to give some advice on college application, on SAT scores, on extracurriculars, and how to go about things in general.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm pumped to do this. Thanks.
So, dear friends who are listening to this interview, please pay attention to each and every word of Akshat because he has gone through this rigorous process. So, Akshat,
Yeah.
the last 2 years +1 and +2 of school they becomes quite hectic. So how your journey has been so far? Stressful or exciting or roller coaster ride? How do you describe it?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of ups and downs. So, in 11th grade, it was much more, relaxed because we hadn't gotten till the college applications yet,
Mhm.
and I was still dealing with the transition to IB diploma program in general and getting used to, the material. But the application process in general, of course, was really stressful and anxious. Once you send the application, you get a lot of anxiety on whether what the decision is going to be, and then the timelines are so large between when you send it and when you get the decision back. So it definitely was a stressful process. But if you plan it out well and if you know what you're doing, you're going to survive and you're going to do well and you're going to get into where you really want to.
Cool, cool, cool. So you have been part of us as a SAT student for English and mathematics. So how Masterclass Space has been, for you? I mean, how did it help you in your SAT prep?
Yeah, so in 11th grade, in the summer before 11th, in August of 2022, that's when I joined Masterclass Space and I attended the classes on math and English. And during this time, I learned the material, I learned the concepts, especially in English, which is truly important to study the theory and before you start doing past papers. And then with the resources Masterclass Space provided, I was able to do a lot of practice tests and solve a bunch of sectional tests and time myself better. So in my first attempt, after finishing, like it was towards the end of the course. The course wasn't exactly finished. I gave a September 2022 attempt where I scored 1480, where I got 720 in English and 716 math. And this was kind of a blind attempt because I hadn't done many past papers by this time. I was still catching up with the syllabus, and this was one attempt that I was able to give. But after that, with the stress of IB and the IB examinations, I wanted to put more focus onto that. So I pushed my second attempt and kept getting pushed. And the structure of the SAT changed, so it became a new digital SAT test like the one it is now. And during this time, I was preparing for the digital SAT, and I did the test from Blue Book, which were the sample tests. And I opened the Masterclass Space online resource, which was for the new digital SAT, and provided some feedback as well. So that is when that I spent a good amount of time doing that, and this led to my second attempt, which was 1510 with I believe 780 and a 730, 780 in math, 730 in English, which was an upward growth in both sections. And then this was a score I was happy with, 1510. I was happy with applying with this, and this is what I suggest most students to do. By August 2023, or August of your senior year, which is like the beginning of your senior year, you should have one score that you're truly happy with sending to colleges. And I was with 1510. And after that, I still gave another attempt in October, just to see if I can do better, because that was the last attempt I was able to give before the application cycle started. So I gave the October attempt. I did even better there. I got 800 in math and 760 in English,
Cool.
and that's the score I used.
Very good. Very good. Three steps to 1560.
Yeah, basically.
On the third is, yeah. Good, good. So, I want to talk a bit about scholarship. I mean, how if you're getting some scholarship or if you or some financial aid in UIUC right now?
Yeah, so UIUC is a large public school. It's part of it's funded by the state of Illinois. So large public schools usually do not offer much scholarship, especially for international students, because they have need-based aid, which is restricted to U.S. citizens and in-state students from schools in the state itself. So at UIUC, I'm not getting any financial aid. But there are some institutions which include some private universities and some public universities which will provide merit-based scholarships. And of course, like the Ivy League and a couple other privates provide need-based aid for international students. But these are really competitive. And this is something that is hard to do as an international student because of your citizenship status and because you're classified as an international student. So in total, I applied to 19 universities, 13 in the early round, and from my 9 acceptances, I had scholarships at 3 places. At University of Massachusetts, I had $16,000 a year. At Stony Brook, I had $6,000 a year, and at Case Western Reserve University, I had $15,000 a year.
Hmm. But you chose, of course, UIC.
Yeah, because of prestige and because of the
Of
program
course.
in general.
I get it. Now, just want to ask you, during COVID time, SAT was not mandatory in many of the university. Now again, SAT is picking up because but many of the IVs or many of the top-notch, especially elite universities, they are making it mandatory. What's your take on this? I mean, how important is SAT or ACT score?
See, the UC system, of course, does not consider SAT. They don't even take it in as part of the application. And there, maybe the SAT score doesn't matter at all. But while all colleges might say that it is they are SAT optional, but they never say they're SAT blind, except with the exception of the UC system.
Hmm.
And this is because the SATs do provide a certain metric to see how prepared someone is for college, and all kind of grades, whether they're internal school grades and whatever your school is giving to you, that's by an external body. That's not that can always be manipulated. So that's why SAT is something that is so standardized to the point where it can be everyone has the same circumstances, has the same test, which is the reason that the test is created. So SAT is important, and if you look at the statistics, people who apply with SAT have a higher chance of getting accepted at every single university that
Correct.
says they are SAT optional.
Hmm. And yeah, it was a case for last 3 years. Now again, things are becoming mandatory. You
Yeah.
can see. So of course, some people took it, and even from our statistics, what we are seeing, only the students who have gone to the top notch universities, they had high SAT scores.
Yeah.
None of the student getting low score got into the top notch, and so it was more like a myth.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Akshat, though, I mean, just from your perspective, I want to ask you, what is your recommendation to students who want to get into universities with scholarship? Because many of the students who are coming to us, they look for scholarships. The fee structure is quite high. So, what should they do, basically?
Yeah, so yeah, scholarships are extremely hard to come by, especially when you're applying to the US. In the UK, this is a bit simpler. They are more free with handing out scholarships, but I didn't apply to the UK, so I can't comment on that as well. But that is a path you can take. In the US, though, from what I know, it's mostly target schools and safeties, which will provide you with some good amount of scholarships, such as Case Western Reserve University. I didn't even plan on applying there, but they'd given me a fee waiver, which I found out later, and so I sent a late application through, and they gave me a scholarship. Stony Brook was a safety. University of Massachusetts was a safety. So these colleges will give you a certain amount of money to attract you towards them, to pick them over some others. And while these scholarships were the highest they could offer to international students, it just wasn't enough for me.
Hmm.
At Case, you can get full tuition scholarships, but I never planned to go there, and I was for CS. But there are universities that you can consider. such as Rochester Institute of Technology for any engineering majors and Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, which are really they're really kind with international scholarships, merit-based scholarships, which you don't even need to apply externally for. They take it as part of your application. And other than those, of course, the private universities like USC, Duke, John Hopkins University, and Ivy League schools such as Columbia, Harvard, and Yale, they're known to do so. But since these universities are already extremely competitive to get into, realistically, a scholarship is hard to come by.
I get it. So, I mean, so basically, the whole idea is that it's not difficult for international students, basically.
It is.
I can. So, some the next question I want to ask you is that sometimes it becomes quite difficult for students and parents to start the US or international, study application. So, what advice would you like to give to students in the early stage of this application?
So there are three things that you can break down an application into. So and these three things are like the core things that even an admissions officer looks for. One is extracurriculars. This is what you do beyond your school, which is outside of the classroom, which includes competitions such as science fairs or quizzes or some work you've done. There's a lot of sustainability programs such as the Harvard Sustainability Program, which you can take a part of, and these are things you do outside of school, which should be relevant to the major you plan to take, and you should have some sort of achievement in each of the things you participate in, such as there's the Breakthrough Junior Challenge, which provides $250,000 for the winner, and IRIS, which is a science fair, which qualifies you for ISEF, which is which is the International Science and Engineering Fair. So, if you take part in these challenges, you have the opportunity to secure some scholarship, because at ISEF you can be awarded private scholarships, and at Breakthrough Junior Challenge, once your video is judged, you can be given up to $250,000 in a 4-year scholarship. And extracurriculars are truly important, especially to differentiate your application from the thousands of ones with the same grades that they've seen. So, especially at top private universities, at Ivy Leagues, at really selective programs, this is particularly important. Beyond that, of course, a naturally given is grades. That's the second component. This includes, so the US takes grades from your 9th to your 12th grade. From 9th and 10th, I was in the Indian system. I was in CBSE. I gave my 10th boards, and 11th and 12th I transitioned to IBDP once I was aware I wanted to apply abroad. So here they do look at consistency, and if you are taking a shift or changing schools in between, if there is a dip in your application, if you can make it up, it won't be scrutinized. But what they look for is either an upward growth trend or consistency, with you being consistently at the top of your class and in your subjects. So this was the second component. Grades are particularly important, and SAT score is also a small part of this, that you can take along with grades. And then the third one is social work. Social work is another differentiating factor, which can truly augment your application. So here, while IB has stuff like CAS, which is for creativity, activity, and service, all this is hard to execute in a school setting, and all this is something that everyone is doing. You need to find something that's beyond this.
Unique.
So this is something that should be personal to you. Yeah. So you need to find an issue that's around you, that you are enthusiastic about, and if you do some good work with it, you can register your non-profit. And then once, if you've done this for a while, and if you have started this out early, you can apply for the RISE Scholars Program, which is another scholarship program that applies, which gives you 4 years of university education, and it can provide funding for your NGO as well. And this is another highly selective program, but highly useful for international students looking for scholarships.
The next question I want to ask you, Akshat, is that what is the general schedule you would like to suggest to applicants for
Um,
US universities?
yeah, so for the US, the early action deadline for most colleges is 1st November, except for the ones that I applied, UNC Chapel Hill and Stony Brook. Those were October 15th. So you should try to make use of the early action deadline, because the early action provides you with a higher chance of admission, and a lot of places require you to apply early action to be able to qualify for their scholarships, merit scholarships especially. So places such as USC and MIT and all these places, they require it shows interest if you apply early. And then other than early action, there's also early decision, which will be one college that you apply to, which will be a binding decision, where once you apply and if you get in, you have to go there. A lot of the Ivy Leagues follow this. And then another option is the restrictive early action. And if you take part in that program as an alternative to early decision, you you apply to that is the college you apply to as restrictive early action. That should be the only private college you apply to. Other than that, you can apply to only public universities. So since all these deadlines are around November 1st, and this will be your senior year, this will be 12th grade, you barely have what, August, September, October, 3 months before this deadline. And during these 3 months, you'll be giving your 12th grade internal examinations, which will be the ones that will be sent to colleges, which is a particularly important exam. So during that time, you should shift your focus to these things and to refining your application. So I would suggest you should start your main common app essay, which is the main large essay, 750 words, in the summer. You should have it done with multiple drafts before the summer of your senior year, and show it to your counselor once school is back in session. And you should also start work on supplemental essays. If you apply to a bunch of colleges like I did, which was around 19 colleges, I wrote more than, I think, 40 supplemental essays, which sounds like a large amount. And out of these 19, I applied to 13, early action. So I had to have most of these essays ready by November 1st. And while there is content that you can recycle between a lot of these essays, it is still hard to, refine each with each individual word limit. So you need to spend some time with that. So because of that, I suggest you start in your summer with the college essay writing and everything. When it comes to your extracurriculars, you should truly use the summer before 11th, which is the one going from 10th to 11th, and from the one 11th to 12th, you should try to get an internship. I interned with a robotics company, and I believe that was one of the things that set my application apart, because this was a good startup that I worked at, and I got some hands-on experience. And such internships are hard to come by, but if you do, it can really help your application. And you should spend at least one summer interning, and you should spend the summer even doing some sort of research if you can. There are a bunch of paid research programs, but it is better if you cold email some professors at universities. And if you're able to get in with one of these professors and work under them, that's also something that's truly exceptional, that brings something unique out of your application. So another thing, when looking at SAT, the schedule of the SAT, I gave my first attempt in 11th grade, which was just, testing the water, seeing, how it goes. But by August of your senior year, by the August attempt, you should have a score you're happy with. So this was my 1510. I was happy with sending the score because it had crossed the 1500 bar. And you do get one more attempt, like October, and I did give that, and I got a 1560. I did better, and that's what I ended up sending. But by August should be your target to get your best score, and after that you decide whether you want to take another attempt or not. And to do this, for the SAT especially, you might need a couple attempts at least. So that's why it's better if you start preparation early, you stay ahead of the game. So then you'll have less stress, because then you can work on your applications during that time, in the September, October time, where you might get a break or two where you can write all your essays, where you don't have to worry about the SAT.
Thank you for
Yeah,
much information. And now we have talked not about academics. Wish to know a bit about what are your long-term goals. Now you are already getting into UIUC. So after coming out of UIUC, what's next?
So at UIUC, there is this program that I'm interested in, which is a 4+1 year BS plus MS, where I get a bachelor's and a master's in 5 years. And this is something I plan to do. with my IB credits, which really helped me. I save up to 1 semester worth of classes,
Oh,
so that's saving me some time. So hopefully, I'm able to graduate in 4.5 to 5 years, worst case, and I come out with the BS plus MS. And at UIUC in the summers in between, I plan to intern and convert maybe one of these internships into a job that I can get some experience in as part of my student experience.
mm,
And yeah, that's the further plan. That's what I plan to do. And at UIUC as such a large research university, I plan to continue doing some research. I'd done a few things as part of school here, and I hope to continue that, get some more experience with that at UIUC. Yeah.
cool. So, Akshat, wish to know a bit about your extracurricular. I mean, in application, what extracurricular activities you have put in, or in general you do?
Yeah, so I had four. So in the Common App, you can list 4 awards, and those 4 awards for me included hackathons. That was one hackathon that we came second in, which was a national hackathon, a school hackathon from around India, and then one was a national maths quiz, which we qualified to the regional final for. But this was something I did after my early action, so I was
Mhm.
only able to send it to my regular decision colleges. Then there was then there was a mathematical research program that I was a part of, and we won a prize there. So that is another thing I listed. Along with that, so most of these were math related because CS is of course very math heavy. And then there was another math and science quiz I'd done in the 11th grade, which again we won a cash prize for, and we won nationally. So these awards of these national awards are truly important, and they should be consistent. They shouldn't be something you just start doing in 12th grade or in 11th grade.
Mm,
Towards in my 9th and 10th grade, I also had something which was a bit more diverse. I had an international rank in the English Olympiad, and I'd worked with Intel Education as part of a boot camp, which was kind of like a mentorship program. So this was something that I did in 9th and 10th. And another thing that students can employ to enhance their application are online courses like edX. On edX, I'd done a couple CS courses from MITx, which is MIT's online learning platform. The course that they provide. So you can do these courses on edX, on Coursera, and get ahead of the competition, and you'll truly learn something that you can use. And without those courses, I wouldn't be able to work at my internship or be able to do well at hackathons. So that course was something that truly helped me. So you can it's a mix of a bunch of these things. So these were all CS related. Coming to social work, as part of my school, we have social work at school, and there I was the head of the program,
mhm.
where we provided sanitary napkins to underprivileged women in the neighborhood. So I was the head of this program, so I had raised funds for this. I had bought the machine, set it up, set up production, and managed over 100 students as part of this initiative. And by 12th grade, I even had like an official leadership position as part of the school in this. So this was another thing that really helped me. This was the social work aspect, and that was one part of my application that I wrote a couple of supplementals about it as well. Then
Mhm.
academics, I in my 10th grade examination I had 97% with 99% in artificial intelligence and science,
Mm.
which I was a topper in. And then in IB, my predicted grade, that's what was sent in November, was 42 out of 45. And then the mid-year report, which is sent in December, is 43 out of 45. So that was, a further growth there. So these are the things that, got me to UIUCCS especially, and all the other colleges that I got into, and that really helped me. And then there's the activity section in the Common App, where another thing you have to do is arrange them in a chronological order of what's important to you. There I listed stuff like my internship and clubs. So clubs, as part of my school, I was part of the CS club, which took part in hackathons, and where I organized a hackathon, I participated in research.
Mhm.
These were 3 things I did as part of CS club. As part of math and science club, I again did math research for the competition. I did multiple quizzes that we won prizes in. So these clubs, as part of the school, you should be doing something that not everyone's doing.
Correct.
Even though it's while at school, while away from school. So Olympiads is something that can truly exemplify your
Mm.
application and these competitions, national competitions. I also had a lot of Model United Nation conferences that I had won. So yeah, so this was just a list of the things that I listed in on my application, my activities section. Yeah.
It is a huge list. It's not a small list.
Yeah, I filled up 8 out of 10 slots.
Too much, too much. So now everything is done. What's one thing which you really want to, pursue in university apart from academics?
Apart from academics, as I mentioned before, research is something that I'm really interested in.
That's
That
academics.
um, apart, okay, if you consider as academics, I meant outside of the classroom.
Okay.
Apart from that, I play guitar. I've always been
This is
playing guitar
something.
for last 12 years, I think. So that's
Wow.
something I plan to continue in school. And that's another thing that I mentioned on my application actually.
Hmm.
And then there are a bunch of student organizations that I'm interested in. Like there's this robotics club where
Hmm.
you make competitive battle robots. So
Hmm.
these are clubs that I'm interested in. A lot of opportunities at UIUC that I'm open to. And of course, there's reading. I've always loved reading a lot. So that's something I plan to continue to do. So, and basketball, while I might not play professionally, from time to time to de-stress, I do play some basketball. So I'll probably go do that in college as well. Yeah.
Here also you have a list to do.
Huh?
Here also you
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
big list to do.
yeah.
Good, good.
I like to be planned about everything.
No,
So
no, that's
yeah,
really good indeed.
yeah, it's important for the college application process in general to, have a plan, have an idea of what you're doing. And, if anyone needs any help with it or has, questions with it, or if you want me to read your essays or any guidance in general, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll try to send a link through and get it attached below the video. So I'm Akshat Shahi, so it'll come up on LinkedIn. So I've had a lot of students reach out to me and I've helped them with their applications as well during this time, and I look forward to what they will do up
What
until
can be
next
better
year or
than this?
next year.
What can be better than this? So, dear students who are listening to this interview, we have Akshat already there who is offering his expert
Yeah,
services. So, thank you so much, Akshat. Once again, congratulations on behalf of our whole team of Masterclass Space, faculty members, and everyone. And so happy once again to you and your family. Be in contact, and
yeah,
whatever we can do for you in future also be a part. We have some of the students, they are also working with us even after going to university now. One after first year, a student from Bangalore only, she joined us. Right now she has done her first year of from Caddy School of Business. She has joined us as a marketing intern for our NGO. And the name of NGO is Art Space. So we are into art also, basically. To the idea is to bring some performing art in corporates. So that also, so in case you need some this kind of internship or that kind of exposure which is needed away from academics, most
yeah,
welcome to be part of it. So
yeah,
thank you so
definitely.
much.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you
dear.
so much for this organization, for all the resources you guys have provided
Thank you
over the
so
years.
much. You are
Yeah,
welcome. Bye bye, dear.
bye bye.